Welcome to Drive Through on US Modernist Radio. Between our regular podcasts, Drive Through has you meet interesting people, hear about great houses, and discover the rich history of modernist architecture, all in about 10 minutes. With your host, the man Dwell magazine called the Lorax of Modern Houses, George Smart.
You're driving down a road, little towns called Vermont and Black Earth, and they're one-lane roads, and they're construction, and they're tractors, and my little Uber is running through these roads trying to find this amazing house in which I sit right now. So we're going to be talking with the owners of the house, which as of this moment is for sale, overlooking some beautiful scenery in Wisconsin. And though I don't know I'd want to be trapped here in a snowstorm, this is probably one of the few places I'd want to be trapped in a snowstorm. So tell me about this house.
First, it's the best place in the world to be trapped in a snowstorm, because watching the storms come up through the windows that overlook both this valley from both the master bedroom and the living room are just outstanding. It is just awe-inspiring to watch nature out of these windows. It is in this house. I think that this house epitomizes the brow of the hill Frank Lloyd Wright concept. If you look carefully, you'll see that we were blasted out of a rock, and
because the topo is higher, right?
Yes, it is, and it's not at the top of the hill. It's in the brow of the hill. It's personally and overseen by Wesley Peters to match what Frank Lloyd Wright wanted in a home. And I can't imagine any more effort being put behind a home to site it at the brow of the hill than this house went through. And now you're sitting in the living room, and you can see that the stone of the fireplace is exactly the stone you were seeing at Taliesin a half an hour ago.
Sure.
From the same places the stone was brought. If you remember coming through the front door, you saw different ceiling heights, and when you came into our living room and you look out on the landscape, the ceiling goes very, very high. I think it goes as high as 15 feet, because that's where our Christmas tree ran into a problem.
Okay.
It's magical when you watch a person come into the house for the first time. They look up, they look around, and then they just are siphoned off to the windows overlooking the farms of Wisconsin. So we treasure the house for that. We've loved it for 15 years now. What we did when we bought the house is the major reconstruction of the inside of the house. It really hadn't been lived in for a number of years, and the number one thing was to make it livable. We lived in a bedroom of this house and did the reconstruction around us. And it wasn't anything that could be planned at one time and this great plan adhered to, because you'd get to a problem in a room and you had to address that problem, and it usually meant going back to all the other rooms and addressing the problem too.
We were both retired in the Chicago area, and we were both complaining about how we grew up in the Chicago area, but no new roads had ever been built. And we lived near the Fox River, and it took like a half an hour sometimes to get across the bridges during rush hour. So it was like, why are we staying here? Let's go to Wisconsin, where we always had fun. Anyway, we had a little neighborhood paper, and there was an ad in there from a realtor in this area. And it sort of was, well, leave Chicago behind and come up and take a look. So we called this gal, and she showed us a bunch of houses, and this was one of them. So I think for us, coming up the almost mile-long driveway, was like we're leaving all the bad stuff behind. In other words, all the clutter in Chicago. And
what was interesting is the realtor didn't show us this house at first. She showed us a bunch of houses that she thought we would like. There was a picture on her desk of a Lamborghini on a driveway, and I said, wow, that's a nice car. And she said, that house is also available. There was no house in the picture. And we said, well, tell us about it. And she said, well, it's got a very long driveway, and it's a Frank Lloyd Wright house that Wesley Peters designed. And we said, well, let's go see that. And we got up here, and when you look around the house today, you see gardens everywhere. Can you imagine seeing absolutely nothing growing within 20 feet of the house, all around the house? But we walked into the house, and something said stay, and we did.
Are you the second owners or the third, or?
We don't know.
Fourth, I think.
Yeah, the first owner was Stanley Sorensen,
Okay.
and he worked for the Hammond Organ Company in Chicago. And he had a house across the valley, and he could see this hill from his house, a vacation house. And so he got it in his mind to buy the hill and get a Frank Lloyd Wright house put up on it. And then after him, we've lost track of who owned it or whatever. So it's been around for 40 years. So it's probably gone through 5 or 6 owners at least.
What year was this about?
Yeah,
67?
yeah. They argued about how to build the house for like 4 years before it was actually built in 1970.
When did you decide to put it up for sale?
4 years ago, I think.
About 4 years ago?
Yeah.
So have you been the realtor all along with us?
No, I'm the second realtor that came
Okay.
along, so I just brought a younger, fresher approach to branching out and trying to get us more exposure for the house. And it's a truly one-of-a-kind type house, and it's not somebody who's just flipping through the newspaper who's going to say, hey, I want to buy this. Everyone around here knows of the house, and it's more about getting exposure nationally.
Well, where's the Lamborghini? That worked the first time.
That's
No.
very true.
We decided American cars was the way we were going to go once we bought this place.
When once it snows, you'd never get that thing down
No.
or up.
No.
True. True. But I think a picture of a Lamborghini might be,
Yeah.
in the works.
Absolutely. I guess we're going to go shopping.
So how do you market a unique house in a remote location?
Basically, we branch out to realtors, across the country is what we've been doing a lot of lately, looking for ones that have featured more in architecture, that would have people that are not just, looking for their second home. They're not looking to move across town, who are truly inspired by architecture, want something unique, and, money's not really, a concern. They want something that it's a showpiece.
Yeah.
That, it could be an executive from a company that comes up here as a retreat. It could be a writer in LA or an actor. Anybody in those types of lines, it really works well for.
Now, surely you've talked to Brad Pitt already?
He didn't return my calls.
Oh, I'm so surprised.
Yes. But we spent a tremendous amount of time researching that and just trying to get in touch with other places to put it in front of people who aren't necessarily looking for a house.
Was the house pretty beat up when you found it, or was it, what kind of condition did you find most of the interiors?
Well, the interiors had not been updated since the house was built. So the bathrooms and the kitchen were just not usable for somebody like me who wants the latest and greatest. So what we tried to do was insert modernity into the rooms that we actually required that to be in. It's a family home. It might be that when you come in the front door, you're expecting a cocktail party to be going on here from the 1930s.
I am missing my martini.
Yeah.
Yes. It looks like that kind of house, but I hope you find it as comfortable as we've found it.
You've been very caring owners, obviously, of this
Yeah.
house for a long time,
Yes.
and have really set it up well for the next people to come. So thank you for that. And thank you for talking with me.
It was our pleasure. We love talking about the house, to be perfectly honest with you. We just will hate seeing it go, but we really need to downsize, and that's the only reason we're leaving this house.
Where can people contact if they're interested in seeing the house?
They could contact me. I'm Aaron Weber. Phone number is 608-556-4179. or aaron@aaronwebergroup.com.
Visit us on the web at usmodernistradio.org for links about people and buildings mentioned today. Our theme song is performed by Robinson Earl. US Modernist Radio and Drive Through is a production of North Carolina Modernist Houses, a nonprofit educational archive for the documentation, preservation, and promotion of residential design. I'm Tom Guild. Thanks for listening to Drive Through from US Modernist Radio.